Welcome to Mind Body Monday, and thank you all for joining me tonight. Today, I'm going to share with you 2 hidden causes of stubborn weight gain. And I'm going to share with you 3 steps, perhaps unusual steps, to help balance your weight so you can leave behind the thought that you're stuck with this for the rest of your life. Now, I want to just have a full disclosure right from the get-go, because I often hear in my clinic, my patients say, I've tried everything and the belly fat is not shifting, and the things that maybe helped in the past are not helping anymore either. Plus, I feel bloated and exhausted, or some theme in that area. And I hear this time and time again. My first invitation to anybody who feels they've tried everything is please don't give up on yourself, ever. Because there are advances in medical science happening now as I speak, and you are listening to me. There are breakthroughs all the time. I subscribe to a numerous cutting-edge podcasts and online forums where there are breakthroughs and new research happening all the time. So if you tried everything and it hasn't worked, it just means you are one thing less from getting to where you want to go. So don't give up and continue your journey. So for many people who do battle with weight gain, obesity, or just sluggishness, I know you all have tried probably changing your diet, exercising differently, managing your stress, probably looking at different exercise forms, or going on to various types of diet that have been shown to streamline your metabolism. Or some of you may think I've just got bad luck with unhealthy genes. So let me just share 2 pieces of information with you right from the get-go. Firstly, in terms of unhealthy genes, the latest research in epigenetics, and I gave a Mind Body Monday on this not too long ago, is that about 20 to 30% of our health is actually informed by our genes. That means 70 to 80% of our health is dictated by our choices, the choices we make, lifestyle choices, social choices, a whole array of choices we get to elect to do in our life. So we are not stuck with bad genes. If there's a strong family history of weight gain or obesity, etc., or any illness, it just means we need to put the spotlight on that 70 to 80% a little bit more. But I really want to share with you an extra key motivation in creating this class in Mind Body Monday today. Because as much as I feel for everybody who's struggling with weight, the physical discomfort, the emotional despair and sensitivity around the topic, I personally, being in functional and integrated medicine, have another agenda. Because I've seen a pattern, and over my last 30 years in private practice, I get to identify patterns and find the quickest solutions to reverse those patterns. Because obesity and weight gain happens to be one of the 5 factors that make up metabolic syndrome. And the other 4 are high blood pressure, elevated triglycerides, elevated glucose, and low HDL cholesterol. And obesity, or extra visceral fat around our organs and what we carry around our waist, is a risk factor for the 3 deadly chronic diseases: heart disease, cancer, and dementia. So as an integrated medicine doctor, I have an extra motivation to really inspire people to continue to advance their health and well-being. And if I come across a pattern like obesity and extravisceral fat as one of the 5 markers in metabolic syndrome, which the 3 diseases of cancer, dementia, and heart disease is sitting on, then it gives us extra leverage over ourselves to continue the journey, to continue the search, and never, ever to give up on our health and well-being on all levels. So most people, when they think of gut health, they think of digestion. They think of, not having bloating or gas or constipation or heartburn or stomach pain or whatever it happens to be. But that's just scratching the surface of what it really means to have a healthy gut. So I want to put in the spotlight 4 hidden or rather unusual causes of weight gain that even if you have a normal healthy weight are still important to consider. So actually, even though there was more than 4 when I created this class, because of time, I'm actually going to probably just share 2 of them with you. And if more come up in the Q&A later or in the comments on the replay, I'll share those as well. So I want to share with you some fascinating research that was discovered between the relationship between gut bacteria and weight gain, really. And they discovered that the makeup, the diversity and quantity of gut bacteria directly influences a person's metabolism and weight. So the gut bacteria in an obese or overweight person has shown to have less friendly bacteria and more unfriendly bacteria than someone in a lean body weight. Now, this is a generalization because there are people who are lean and have poor gut health. I know that. But as a generalization, as an unexplored pathway to perhaps get a handle on weight balance, and I'm going to address that shortly, is to really look at the gut and gut bacteria. So, because what they found is that a specific kind of bacteria influences our metabolism mediated through the gut. And the wrong bacteria will increase our appetite, help the body store more energy as fat, and cause inflammation in the gut. And this is an unexplored, at least in the pop culture, unexplored pathway to try to get a handle on our metabolic health and our weight health. So I want to share with you 2 particular causes of weight gain. The one is to do with leaky gut, and the other is to do with, well, I'll get to that first. So there's a condition called leaky gut. I'm going to just share with you a slide, because this way you'll be able to understand more about how this impacts you and what you can do about it. Let me just jump to my slide. Okay. So here is a slide explaining leaky gut. For those of you who are familiar with it, listen in a new way, because there's always what to learn. Here is a slide where on the left side, you have a normal tight junction. What this means is the gaps between the cells in the intestine are tight, and they do not allow any nasties or anything that's not fully processed into the bloodstream. But if there's inflammation in the gut, then what happens is these tight junctions, which are supposed to protect the body, become loose, so to speak, and bacteria, toxins, and undigested food pass through these tight junctions into the bloodstream and cause havoc in the immune system. If you can see it like a picket fence around your property. All those little white pieces of wood tightly together will protect people coming in or animals coming into your property. But if those are broken or the gap is too wide, then you'll get foreign invaders coming in purposefully or unintentionally into your property. So this is a very important concept to understand and then begin to nurture its healing, because leaky gut is caused by inflammation, by and large created by an imbalance in the gut for all sorts of reasons. Emotional stress is one of them. Poor sleep is another. Sedentary lifestyle, not moving your body enough, is another. And a poor diet. Obviously, all these impact the quality of the membranes in your gut and could cause this leaky gut syndrome. So what's the problem, or what has it got to do with weight gain? For this discussion, I've given previous Mind Body Mondays, and I've taken a deep dive in leaky gut syndrome itself, what causes it, and how to heal it. The spotlight on today is on weight gain and what you can do to reverse that through managing your gut. So number one, with a leaky gut, there is a direct relationship with something called insulin resistance, which is part of that metabolic dysfunction I spoke about at the beginning. That what essentially happens, the increased inflammation decreases the ability of insulin to do its job properly. And what's insulin's job in a nutshell is really to help blood sugar enter the body's cells so it can be used for energy. But if there's an insulin dysfunction, it means your body is going to store the sugar as fat instead of getting it burnt off. This is called insulin resistance. And this ties in to weight gain, an inefficient metabolic system, and also is one of those 5 underlying foundations for chronic health challenges around the corner. So it's really, really important to identify what these 5, if these 5, the big 5 are in your body. There are tests to do that. And then obviously to go about reversing that. And the first way to begin to address that is through healing the leaky gut syndrome, which will balance insulin resistance, amongst other many pathways. The second challenge with insulin resistance is something called cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And when cortisol is raised, it disturbs insulin resistance, or it causes insulin resistance as well. And it also affects our hunger and satiety. So it's very important to deal with gut inflammation at its root in order to address leaky gut, in order to address the metabolic dysfunction going on as a result of raised insulin, insulin resistance, and raised cortisol. Now, the second main cause of unusual cause, that is of weight gain, is a disturbed gut microbiome, not as it relates to leaky gut, but another factor as well. And I'm going to take a little bit of a deep dive, and I'm going to share with you 3 strategies to reverse that. So not all bacteria are the same. Different bacteria do different things in the gut. Now, there's a particular family of gut bacteria called Firmicutes phylum, the family of this gut bacteria, that are much, much more efficient at breaking down certain carbohydrates and helping to metabolize them into short-chain fatty acids that are much more easily used by the body. So there's new medicine research being done on showing how different gut bacteria affect storage of the way the body stores fat, and how it affects glucose levels in the blood, and how it makes us respond to hunger when we feel full, when we don't feel full, and that all relates to a hormone called ghrelin. And all of that is mediated through gut bacteria. So it's not just a nice thing to, take a probiotic. Most people think about it when they take antibiotics, but there's a whole different way of looking at longevity, metabolic health, and weight balance. So bottom line is, the wrong mix of gut microbes can set a person up for a predisposition for obesity and even diabetes. And research has showed that this actually can begin at birth. Now, there's some fascinating research done in Scientific America, and a further nuance in the Science Journal. And I just want to share a little bit of it because I'm very excited about it. And I think it will also help you understand how important this is as well. So bear with me. I'm going to keep it as simple and non-technical as possible. And it's also interesting research. What they did, they took twins. The researchers took twins. They took 2 lean twins and 2 obese twins. And they analyzed their gut microbiome. They looked at their gut bacteria. And they found that the twins that were obese had very, very different kind of makeup and diversity of their gut bacteria than the lean twins did. And they discovered a specific strain of bacteria called Bacteroidetes, which mobilizes and breaks down starches much more efficiently. So therefore, in the lean people, they had more of this strain of bacteria than the obese ones who didn't have this. But then they did something very interesting. These researchers took mice and they prepared them in a specific way. I'm not going to go into all the gory details. And they implanted their obese sisters' microbiome contents into rats, to 2 groups of mice. And they then took the lean sisters' microbiome examples and put them into another set of rats, which they gave them the same diet and the same lifestyle, etc., talking about the mice. And they discovered that those mice who got the microbiome sample from the obese sisters became fat and obese themselves. And those ones who got the microbiome samples from the lean sisters remained lean, even though these 2 sets of mice were having exactly the same diet, lifestyle, and activity. So this just goes to show and demonstrate the importance of having specific strains of gut bacteria in the gut and diverse strains as well, in order to get a better handle on metabolic efficiency and weight balance. Okay, so let's just take a moment to process this. I also said that babies at birth can be predisposed both to obesity and, unfortunately, to diabetes, depending on how they came into the world and depending on what they ate. Because researchers discovered that there's a strong interaction between diet and gut bacteria. So they took groups of babies who were formula fed and who delivered with C-section and discovered that they were at a higher risk for obesity and diabetes than babies who were breastfed and came into the world delivered normally. That is fascinating research, and it really gives us a window into how we can, as best as possible, help new kids coming into the world wherever possible, at least supplement with a good formula with probiotics and prebiotic fibers as well, and breastfeed wherever possible. So let's step back for a moment and look at 3 possible interventions that you can start to do to reverse the metabolic syndrome and obesity as it relates to the gut. I am not going into a whole deep dive on metabolic syndrome today. I've done that in previous Mind Body Mondays, and I'm not going to be looking at all the strategies for weight management that you'll definitely need to find an integrated medical practitioner to work with who can look at and leverage everything for you. But I just want to share with you, in light of what I discussed today, 3 specific strategies. The one has to be just going on to an anti-inflammatory diet and removing wherever possible processed foods, excess sugars, also fruit drinks and fruit sugars if possible, because research has shown that processed foods, processed oils like canola oil, these oils hidden in mayonnaise, etc., are inflammatory to the gut lining. Add this into the hopper with stress, emotional stress, poor sleep, and all the other challenges that each one of us are dealing with in our own life. It adds to tip us into an inflammatory situation that can be easily remedied and avoided. So step one is to stop, reduce, replace, wherever possible, processed foods, processed oils, and anything high in sugar. And today, if you do a Google search on how many names of sugar there are at least 76 and counting. So getting off sucrose, fructose, corn syrups, etc., is a great start, but become a wonderful label reader and discover all the different names of sugars that all have an inflammatory effect in the body pretty much. Let's look at step number two. Step number two has to be including probiotics and fermented foods in your diet. And I said to one of my patients recently, they said to me, how long do I need to take probiotics for? And I said, the truth, the rest of your life. Recently, I gave a Mind Body Monday on the gut connection to everything. And I highlighted 6 of the main gut connections with every major system in the body. A healthy gut is a healthy brain. Just remember that over 90% of serotonin and 50% of dopamine, which are neurotransmitters to keep us buoyant in mood, alert, motivated, regulating sleep, regulating appetite, are not made in the brain, they're made in the gut. Over 95% of serotonin and 50% of dopamine are made in the gut from healthy gut bacteria. So if you want to tip the seesaw to the side of being upbeat, positively focused, then support your gut in that, because it will set your brain up with the raw materials to make the right perceptual choices in life and to see the good, because your system is weighed to do that and supporting you. So one pathway is to take a probiotic. It can be costly over the long term. I recommend and encourage and teach my patients how to make their own probiotics, be it from sauerkraut, fermented vegetables, and there are many, many different kinds to do that. There's unpasteurized miso. There are all sorts of wonderful ways you can add probiotics into your daily routine. Simply taking a tablespoon or 2 twice a day is a good start. And if this is a first for you, I recommend that you just do it once a day, because as you populate your gut with friendly bacteria, your body will begin to respond and there'll be a mini struggle inside. So if you want to avoid feeling bloated or uncomfortable, having a loose stool, then add it gradually in as the friendly bacteria will crowd out any of the nasties. So I personally make sauerkraut. I ferment 10 to 15 kilograms at a time. I have a big clay keg, and I grind up some fresh ginger root, and organic cabbage, prepare that, and I teach my patients how to do that. You can learn that yourself, and it's an easy way to make an inexpensive probiotic. And I've just read some research recently that about 4 to 6 ounces of fermented vegetables can yield about 10 trillion bacteria, friendly bacteria, compared to the average probiotic, which is about 10 billion, not strains, but colonies. So you compare 10 billion, I know these are huge numbers, to 10 trillion. It's just hugely different. And it could be a tablespoon or 2, could be at least one whole container of probiotics that you could be spending lots of money on every month. So for those who can't take or can't make probiotics or learning to do that, then definitely I recommend you to take capsules until you can. So that's the second step. The third step is what most people forget to do, is actually to feed the bacteria. Once you've taken in good bacteria, it's very important to provide them what's called prebiotic fibers. These are fibers, specific fibers of vegetables. I'm going to share my favorite recipe with you in a minute, that support the growth of these friendly bacteria. So whether you're making your own probiotic or you're taking capsules, it's very important to take prebiotic fibers, because that is the substance on which the probiotics will grow. They'll eat that, they'll ferment that, they'll grow, and they'll make wonderful other qualities in your body, in addition to that dopamine and serotonin as well. They'll also have anti-inflammatory benefits, so they'll begin to mend and heal the gut lining and heal the leaky gut syndrome as well. So I recommend my patients to start off gradually, but to build up to about 30 grams of prebiotic fibers each 24 hours. And once again, starting off gradually, you can start off with a teaspoon, which is about 5 grams. Do that once a day for 3 days. And then after that, twice a day for 3 days. And then after that, 3 times if you want, and build up that way. Because it's very important, as you provide your body with more prebiotic fibers, the friendly bacteria is going to metabolize those and use that. And it could cause some gas, some loose stool, etc. That's all normal, as the entire flora of your gut is beginning to change and become upgraded and become healthier. So my favorite prebiotic formula is to take equal parts of flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds, grind them up in a blender or nut grinder, and freeze them immediately in the freezer. I make about a week to 10 days at a time. And then I take a tablespoon and sprinkle onto soups and salads. And if I'm short on time, I'll just put it into a warm glass of chamomile tea, let it sit for 10, 15 minutes to absorb, and then enjoy that as well. So the chamomile tea is also a great soother of the gut. So I've shared with you 3 strategies to help to heal the gut, to strengthen your gut microbiome, and also to begin to reverse one of the main causes of stubborn weight gain, which is a leaky gut situation, and which ties into a whole metabolic syndrome. This is one slice. What I've shared with you is one tiny slice of an entire program that's required to address weight balance and or metabolic dysfunction. But it's in a very important slice. And this is what's motivated me today to share Mind Body Monday with you. So I just want to say thank you once again for joining me in Mind Body Monday. Just remember that Mind Body Monday is all about self-care being the heart of healthcare. All you need to do is take one small step in the direction of health and healing in mind, body, and soul. And I'll see you next week.